No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You've got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, Fly Fishing Guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah, try it sometime.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
Ding, ding, ding.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Wednesday to you here at Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. It's a Lithia Ford of Boise Wednesday, so we appreciate Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out. View their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. We got John Mallory here, host of Prater in the Ballgame 95.3 The Ticket for his Wednesday appearance. And Johnny, plenty to talk about today. We had a great show last night wrapping up spring on Ball Talk. Going to talk some basketball and football today, mostly basketball probably with the news of the day. But happy Wednesday, Johnny. How we doing, man?
Happy Wednesday, BJ. And 24 hours now away from the NFL draft, which is kind of cool. Excited for that tomorrow, obviously, on a Thursday. And, man, in today's world of college athletics, BJ, I mean, what would be very quiet normally this time of year, it just isn't anymore with all the activity. So, yeah, it feels like there's always something to talk about, good news and sometimes bad news too.
Yeah, it's funny. The hours of a sports writer, the news kind of happens when it happens, Johnny, and was, sitting around yesterday doing some stuff, but nothing really happens. And then sure enough, I am literally tossing, soft toss at my kids' baseball game, getting ready for the game to start and get the text and the info that Roddie Anderson is transferring. And I try to confirm it and then look up and, Roddie had posted it, and it just stuff happens when it happens. I guess you guys were still probably technically on the air or just finishing up yesterday when that news came out. So I don't know how much you guys got into it, but big debate on social media about Roddie Anderson, and we're seeing people saying Leon Rice has lost the locker room, and all different levels of concern from folks. I've got some thoughts on this. I know you have some thoughts on this. I guess I'll open the floor for you first, and just your general takeaways. Roddie Anderson transferring last night.
It was funny. We actually had Max Rice on Idaho Sports Talk live when the news went down. He's not on the team anymore, but he's still very well connected. So it was interesting to hear his thoughts like that. And it's almost like even players, you're bulletproof. You're tone deaf to it now. Like, and you're never surprised anymore when a player leaves. And in the case of Roddie Anderson, it's kind of like, yeah, you can probably see the writing on the wall when they signed Alvaro Cardenas a couple of weeks ago. BJ, you interviewed Cardenas, even talked about, playing with Roddie and how he thinks that will work. And I think people kind of felt like, okay, Roddie is such a tremendous athlete. Leon, they can find a way to make it work with both these players. Okay. But that wasn't going to be the case, apparently, for Roddie Anderson. He's gone. And I don't know where you want to put this, where we want to go with this. I mean, is this, so you basically traded 2 years of Roddie for 1 year of Cardenas, and you're cool with that. Okay. All right.
Well, they're clearly cool with that, because I think they saw you don't bring in Alvaro Cardenas without thinking there's a decent chance it's probably going to tick off Roddie Anderson, and he's probably going to leave. Like, the coaches thought about this, like Roddie Anderson. And again, however we do this, Johnny, it comes off as like we're ripping on the other player and it's a negative and we're being disrespectful, whatever. Like, Roddie Anderson did some nice things, was a really good defender, got to the basket really, really, strong and great, and did some nice things. I just don't think, and I'm pretty sure the coaches feel the same way, that his style of offense and what Roddie Anderson does best doesn't necessarily fit with what Boise State's offense is trying to do and what Boise State is trying to do best. Like, Roddie Anderson loves to push the ball and go fast. Boise State was one of the slowest teams in the country last year. They were 323rd in average possession length at KenPom. Like, the things Roddie Anderson does well, again, I don't think was a perfect mesh. So people say, oh, he got better as the year went on. Well, he did. His scoring improved, but he's a score-first point guard. He's not necessarily, the facilitating and things. I mean, a lot of people say, why was Max Rice maybe not quite as good as he was from 2 years ago to last year? I think you could look at Marcus Shaver setting up Max Rice for some open shots and do some things that Roddie Anderson maybe didn't do. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and crap on Roddie Anderson for 30 minutes. Again, I think he did some nice things, but I think anybody that was really paying attention saw that it just wasn't a great fit with this offense for a good chunk of the year. And I think that I think that writing should have been on the wall when they went out and got Alvaro Cardenas, that, okay, they don't think Roddie Anderson is the perfect fit, or they don't think he's good enough, because Alvaro Cardenas is an upgrade over Roddie Anderson. And again, you're not making Roddie Anderson your two guard when he shoots as poorly from the field as he does. He can't make free throws. I think that I'm not that surprised. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I kind of saw this coming and expected it. I mean, you don't go get one of the better point guards in the league, Alvaro Cardenas, and not have that mean something in terms. I mean, he wasn't coming here to not start. He was going to be your point guard. And where does that leave Roddie Anderson? I mean, in my opinion, the writing was on the wall. The coaches felt like they needed an upgrade at point guard, and they felt like they got that with Cardenas. Whether or not Anderson would stay and be a bench player and a backup, who knows? But I don't think they. And again, I'm not speaking for the coaches. I think this is like, hey, we upgraded here, and we're not going to be that upset if Roddie Anderson decides to leave. And that's kind of what happens. So I don't see it as anything more than that. And people want to look at the other transfers. I mean, the one obviously big one, Johnny, is Abo. I mean, there's no sugarcoating that. Abo was a massive loss. He's one of the better players in the Mountain West. That's a huge loss. But when you're lumping in, no disrespect to Jace Whiting, no disrespect to Kobe Young, those two guys were reserve role players that really probably didn't have much roles on this team next year. So again, Abo's a big one. I don't know where Anderson fit once they got Cardenas, and right now that trade is Cardenas versus Anderson, and I think Cardenas is at least marginally better in his overall game, if not a major upgrade. And so now you see what they do with Abo's spot and some of the other guys. But people saying they lost the locker room and 4 guys have transferred. Like, everybody leaves for their own reason. And the only really surprising one to me was Abo. But again, when you find out he got $500,000, it's really not that surprising.
Nope. They're not related. Every team in college basketball loses, I think, on average about 4 players a year right now. So Boise State's not any different than anybody else. And you seem totally cool with it, and I'm sure the staff does too, about essentially trading Cardenas for 1 year of Cardenas for 2 years of Roddie. Cool. That's the direction.
Well, I mean, the whole 2 year, 1 year, the whole 2 year, 1 year thing, Johnny. I mean, and nowadays I think you just go 1 year at a time. I don't think you can plan. I don't think you can plan for 2 years. We're giving up 2 years for 1 year. Like, you got to win this year, and Cardenas is your best guy, and then next year you go get another point guard if Chris Lockett's not ready to be your starter. Like,
yeah, you have Chris Lockett there too. So I was going to say that as well. So it's not like, what are we going to do 2 years from now? Even though, like you said, you can't play that game anymore. As odd as that is, like, you just can't. So good decision. See where Roddie goes. But no, these aren't these transfer portal cases. I don't think they're related.
I just can't get past these kind of comments here, Johnny. Absolutely devastating to the program to only have 3 returning players. Did Leon Rice lose the locker room is the real hard question. No, Robert, I'm sorry. I don't know how to say this without, like, it's not the case. Like, in 100%, I've talked to people in the locker room. I would like to think I know this team as well as anybody. That is not the case. They did not lose the locker room. I can 100% promise you that, okay? Jace Whiting did not transfer, and Kobe Young did not. All these guys are not transferring because they lost the locker room. They're transferring because they want to play more, and they don't like being bench players. Chibuzo Abo got offered $500,000, and Roddie Anderson's watched as the team brought in a player better than him and wondered if he was going to play or not and start. Like, it has nothing to do with losing. I don't know how else I can say it. And it's also April 23rd, or now it's April 24th, Johnny. Like, right now, on paper, yes, this team is not as good as it was last year. Of course not. They got 4 scholarships left, and they got 3 months to fill out the roster. Like, I just think people are jumping to way too big of conclusions. Like, when it's all said and done and the roster's not as good, like, I'm not on here trying to carry Leon Rice's water or whatever. Like, right now, yes, the roster's not as good. And if they don't make any more additions, then I'll say that. They screwed up. It was a bad offseason. But right now, they have 4 spots. They had players visiting last weekend. They have players visiting this weekend. Like, they're out trying to improve the roster. And again, this is not a, let's just say, Roddie Anderson was terrible show. It's not the case. He did some nice things. He was a very good defender. They're going to miss that. He did get to the rack very easily. That's great. But when he did get to the rack, Johnny, and he was barely a 50% free throw shooter, he didn't shoot great from the outside. And I just never got the sense that fit with what they were trying to do. And I guess my sense is here, I do not see these as being related at all. And I would hope folks would trust my informed opinion on this. That's just not the case. These guys all left for different reasons. On paper, maybe it doesn't necessarily look good right now, but I still think they have a lot up their sleeve in terms of what they're doing to add to this roster. I also think they really like Andrew Meadow. And just because Andrew Meadow didn't score 15 points a game last year as a freshman while playing behind Buzo and Tyson, 2 All-Mountain West players, like, doesn't mean Andrew Meadow doesn't have a very bright future and couldn't be an emerging star this year as a sophomore. Like, I think
he'll be good.
I just think that some people are jumping, and this is a perfect opportunity for the Leon Rice haters to come back out and talk about, Leon Rice losing the locker room and what's going on behind the scenes and all this stuff. Like, Boise State basketball has a very strong culture. Burns, Duryea. By the way, I did confirm, Johnny, Tim Duryea being left off the announcement from Chibuzo Abo was 100% a typo, and the person that made the graphic. And within seconds of it going out, Buzo had reached out to Tim Duryea, I heard, and there was nothing else to it other than it was accidentally left off on the list. So people reading into that about was Buzo unhappy with the offense and Tim Duryea? 100% not the case. It was a typo on Chibuzo Abo's part. And so, again, there's nothing going on behind the scenes. There's no bad culture, no whatever. Anybody that knows, that's the one thing Leon Rice has. He has the players. He has the culture. These guys are all leaving for various reasons. Again, Omar Stanley's been getting hit up for a lot of money in the portal. And one of the reasons I've heard he isn't leaving or may not leave is because of the culture and the coaching staff and the city of Boise. So I just think people trying to come out last night folks like this guy on the chat here are trying to just, go back to their vendetta against the coaching staff or Leon or their narrative that they like to push. But I can 100% promise you all these guys left for different reasons. It's pretty obvious to see if you look at it. And again, I don't think anybody should be surprised that Rody Anderson is leaving when 2 weeks ago they brought in a better player at his position. So I just don't get the mass chaos here, Johnny. Maybe I'm a huge homer or whatever. I just, again, they got 4 spots to fill, and I'm going to trust this coaching staff that given their recent portal additions in recent years, they're going to find some quality players here. So that's why I'm not super, super nervous about that. I just, I don't know. I don't see it as a big of a deal. The only huge one I see is Abo, but again, I can understand it when there's $500,000 on the line. So I just don't see this mass chaos that everybody else is seeing, but maybe I'm the crazy one here.
What about the bigger picture? I'm trying to think. This is maybe where the fans are coming from. They're just frustrated with the sport that they love and the chaos. I'll just say utter nonsense that is attached to it now. And then this is kind of the outpouring of that. They're frustrated. Roddy's statistics lowered in every single category from his year at UC San Diego to his year at Boise State. Minutes played, go right down the list. Free throw, points, all percentages. Statistically had a worse season. And maybe fans were hoping that the next 2 years it would have been dramatically better. A big jump for Roddy where all of a sudden next year he is one of the premier point guards in the league. And he still might be, but if he's not the right fit, I guess, and the coaching staff has determined, man, let's stop trying to push the square peg through the round hole on this. Let's get a point guard who drives our offense and does what we want to do. That's completely fair. Of the players transferring, Roddy's the only one that's pissed off, really. Roddy's the only one that says, hey, dude, you screwed me. That could be the only person that could say that. I was your guy. I started every game for you at point guard. We went to the tournament. I led your team in scoring, or did he? Or was he second on the team in scoring in the tournament game? I'm getting better. Come on, stay with me. But, in today's era, nope, you had a chance to get Alvaro, and they thought this guy's going to drive the car similar to what Utah State found with Brown last year as a 1-year veteran, established, like almost professional level point guard. That's what Boise State is going to have with Alvaro. But, the other guys, people leave now when they don't get to play. It just happens. Like I said, every team in America, all 350 of them, lose on average about 4 players a year. Now, if fans are frustrated, well, dang it, we're not going to be as good as we were last year. I don't know what to say on that either. Yeah, a lot of times your team isn't as good next year as it was the previous year. Leon's spoiled the fan base with 3 straight tournament trips.
Well, it's also April 24th. They have 9 scholarship players right now. They're not going into next season with 9 scholarship players. They have 4 scholarships. There's still 1,000+ players in the transfer portal. Like, the deadline to enter the portal is the end of the month here next week. You can still pick your new school all the way through the summer. So all you have to do in the next week is say whether or not you're entering the portal. Boise State has, I saw people say, they only have 1 week left. No, they have 1 week left to not lose anybody else. They have the whole spring and summer to add players to the roster. And again, I'll just say this, Johnny, like, if the coaching staff was worried about losing Roddie Anderson, they would not have signed Alvaro Cardenas.
Okay.
It should be pretty simple to folks paying attention. Like, you don't go get a better player if you're worried about losing that guy. Like, when you get him, that there's a chance that player probably is going to leave or might leave. And obviously you're okay with that. If you're not, they wouldn't have got Cardenas. So the writing should be on the wall. The fact that they felt they needed to go get a true point guard in Alvaro Cardenas should tell you all you need to know about what they thought of Rody Anderson. So if they went and got Cardenas and now Anderson's left, I don't think the coaches are freaking out in the office right now because Rody Anderson left. I don't.
But I could understand maybe fans freaking out that, we're not going to be able to replace Buzo. I don't care who you get out there. That's not, if you do, maybe, that's very hard to do. And as you've detailed, they found Buzo in Lubbock averaging 1.2 points a game, and they turned him into a premier player in the Mountain West. That can absolutely happen again. Those players are out there. Leon and his staff can and might find them. There obviously always is. What if you find the wrong guy? What if you bring in another Roddie Anderson who doesn't fit your system? Then you're not as good, and you haven't replaced Buzo. Okay. But, I mean, that's the lay of the land. There's no way to avoid those landmines right now, man. I mean, that's just what they are. So, yeah, the Buzo loss was a pretty darn big hit, right? That's a big hit. I don't know if you're going to have a player on your roster next year that BJ Raines is going to look to me and say, man, he's better than Buzo. I don't think we're probably
that is certain, and I'm not sugarcoating that one. That's a big loss. And they were not expecting that. They were not expecting that, man.
And almost like, and I agree with you on Cardenas was going to operate what Leon wants to do better than Roddie. I'll give you that. I don't know how much better he is, though. I think if Roddie was at San Jose State this year, probably dropping 13 or 14 a night, just playing Roddie ball, what he did at UCSD a couple
Not
years
sure he's
ago.
doing 5.5 assists a game, though.
Just letting him play. No, very true. And I don't know if Cardenas is going to come to Boise next year and drop 14, 15 a night. What do you think his scoring will be? 8 to 11? Or is he going to be kind of 12 to 15 or 15 plus? I don't know what Cardenas numbers. San Jose State, man, the guy got to play 37 minutes a night. He got to do whatever he wanted to do. A lot of times the stats will come with that, as you know, BJ. But I mean, I trust his coaching staff too.
Yes,
they're telling me, if they're saying, hey, Alvaro is gonna operate what we want to do better than the previous player, then we're going in that direction. There's nothing you can do about guys like Buzo and Eric Musselman and USC saying, hey, here's this. Hell, we would Max Rice probably would have left last year if USC offers 500 G's. Who knows, man?
Yes.
That's just what happens in college hoops right now. Football as well, BJ.
Whoever BSU Bill is, I think must be pretty close to the program and know what they're talking about, because I've heard a lot of similar things as BSU Bill. I do know this to be a case that he says Leon and the staff were close to pulling Lockett's red shirt midseason because they were so upset with the point guard play. I mean, let's remember, Johnny, for a good chunk of the season, we were talking about the point guard play not being great. And then again, Roddie got better from a scoring standpoint, but some of the other areas necessarily didn't.
Well, they told us to be patient with Roddie too.
He says, I heard from people close to that Roddie was a locker room issue. Pretty obvious to see how immature he was. I have, heard at times maybe that he wasn't the perfect fit in the locker room either, Johnny. His attitude at times, some folks that sat behind the bench maybe at times said that there was some accountability issues in terms of taking blame for some of the things that went wrong. I will play a clip right now. If you remember, Johnny, I talked to Roddie Anderson after the loss to Colorado in Dayton. He had a critical turnover with about 5 minutes to go, where he was a little careless with the ball and got it stolen. And there was a layup by KJ Simpson, I believe, which Boise State was up 4, could have gone up 6 or 7, what made probably game over. Instead, they cut it to 2 right there, and it's game on. I asked him about that play after the game, and here's what he had to say.
A great game personally, but you're probably gonna be thinking about that one where you're dribbling it and they stole it and had the layup there. I mean, how frustrating? I guess that was a big swing there.
It's all good. One play don't change the outcome of the game. He was already down 5, so it don't really matter. But we gotta take care of the ball in that situation. But it's all good. I ain't going.
Oh, it's not the one where you're up 4, I think, when KJ.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. I don't know.
You were.
Stuff happens, Johnny, in a key turnover in the game. Kind of blowing it off there is not a big play. Stuff happens. That stuck out to me. I know after the game there was some frustration with some of the coaching staff. I mean, he played 38 minutes in that game. And again, I know, Johnny, there was not a lot of, there was a lot of missed layups, not a lot of made shots, but your starting point guard, 38 minutes, 0 assists in the NCAA tournament game. Also had that key turnover that I mentioned. Again, I just think he does some things very well, but the style of offense Boise State likes to play, it doesn't necessarily fit him. And I think that was evident by them going out and getting Cardenas. Like, I just think that anybody worried about losing Roddie Anderson, again, should just say, well, why did the coaches bring in Alvaro Cardenas? They thought he was better. They thought he fit what they're doing better. Now, we'll see if that's the case. If Roddie Anderson goes to Utah State or goes somewhere else and has a heck of a year, then we can look back and say, yeah, the coaches messed this one up. But let's be honest here, Johnny. I mean, you can say Ray J. Dennis. You can say Pryor. There's been a couple of guys that just didn't fit or whatever, transferred and have done good. But for the most part here, we're talking about backup players transferring. Yeah. And as you said, go ahead.
Devonair Dutrieve, who leaves and is never heard from again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to throw his name in there on this. Yeah, not everybody who leaves Boise State becomes these mega stars. Good for Keishon Pryor, for the Pryor kid, BJ. That's terrific. And I know Leon's excited about those guys too. That's the name of the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Now, that Roddy stuff is interesting on that too. Now, assists are a two-way street, okay? But there's a certain way you want to go for your assists, if you know what I mean. Like, you could easily say, yeah, nobody made shots. Roddy should have had 5, 6, 7 assists that game. But maybe the staff is saying, well, we want to go about the process of assists differently than how we were going about it. And maybe they think more assists will come if we can, I don't know, run some offense here or there, to have some schemes that are going to get our guys good looks. They'll be able to make the good looks versus making contested shots. And maybe some of those, I haven't broken down that game, but maybe some of those opportunities were very contested shots. And that's a lot of minutes to play not to have an assists. I totally get all that. I was not in the locker room. I thought for the most part that team got along really well. I think you would agree with that. But they had an opportunity, they feel, to upgrade with Alvaro, and they're doing it and moving forward. And they were hoping Alvaro would certainly be there with Buzo, Omar, and Tyson. Now that's not going to be the case. But, oh, no, BJ, there's thousands of players that would love an opportunity to come play for Leon and be a part of this culture. It's just up to them to find the right guy, get as good a player as you can find, BJ. And hopefully, who knows, maybe you do find a better player than Buzo. Who knows?
The modern college basketball point guard needs to be able to shoot well from the outside and dish the ball to others. Roddy plays like a bad version of Russell Westbrook, inefficient shot chucker. Again,
that guy's right, but the athleticism cannot be denied either. And I think if you can harness some of that, if you can develop other skills with the athleticism, you have one hell of a player. I'm not going to forget about Roddie Anderson. I think over the next 2 years of college ball, BJ, he's going to be able to do some pretty special things.
And when Boise State brought him in, they knew that shooting was maybe his issue, and they thought that he could improve that. And there was a lot there in terms of the shooting. It just never really came. Later in the season, he shot a little better from the outside. I mean, he single-handedly probably won them the game at Viejas Arena against San Diego State. He had the game-tying layup there with 10 seconds left. Like, Roddy did some really nice things at times. I just think big picture with what Boise State wants to do, they didn't see it as a perfect fit. And again, I think that's proven by the fact they went out and got Mike Burns is not on a plane to San Jose the day after they lost to Colorado to go talk to Alvaro Cardenas if they didn't think point guard was a position they could upgrade at. I'm just being honest. I think most fans should see that. The very next day they got back from Dayton, Mike Burns was on a plane to go have lunch with Alvaro Cardenas. Like, if that doesn't scream, we need an upgrade at point guard, I don't know what does. So I'm just going to say that. Now, again, not denying Buzo, huge loss, probably here irreplaceable in terms of a guy from that standpoint. But again, 4 scholarships left. They need a big guy, obviously. We got the core of this team is still in a good spot. Need another good big guy in the portal and a wing that can hit threes. Again, I know fans don't want to hear this too. Like, they are going to add some players, Johnny, but I also think they feel really good about Andrew Meadow. And they still feel feel there's more in the tank for RJ Keene. They feel like Chris Lockett's going to be a heck of a player. They feel like Emmanuel Ugbo. We watched him in some of these workouts before the games. Like, you also have to trust player development too on some of this. And Pearson Carmichael, a freshman coming in, averaging over 30 points a game in high school, and Julian Bowie. Like, I know people want to just go find the 5-star transfer from Duke to try to upgrade the roster. But they, I think that there's, they feel pretty good about some of these players that are deserving of a chance next year. And with that, I think you go add a quality center. I believe they had 2 centers visit in the last couple of days. They have another center, I believe, or key player visiting this weekend. The coaching staff's got a plan. And I think that from the day they got Alvaro Cardenas, they thought this was possible. The one spot, Johnny, where they probably were not expecting to have to replace is Buzo. I'm sure that's an area of the transfer portal they probably were not expecting to have to fill, and we'll see what they do there. But I still think they're going to get at least one more post player. And then I think, they're going to add some other guys. You probably need another wing or a shooter now. And then I also think that, as I said, Andrew Meadow and some of these other guys that are coming back are going to have bigger roles and be better players than maybe people were ready to believe at this point.
I agree, man. I think Meadow's going to be a player next year. He's going to hit a lot of threes. The crowds are going to love him. I think he's going to get bigger, stronger, faster. He'll be a guy that will factor in as a starter or a sixth man type of player. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Burns and the assistants and obviously Leon are gonna build this roster, BJ, and try to get players that are gonna fit their system. I mean, I don't know if they'll chalk how they'll consider Roddie. Maybe they blame themselves as a staff. Hey, we weren't able to get him to play a certain way. I don't know how they feel, but you can press the abort or the reset button in college sports right now, and you can go in your league, a guy you're very familiar with. How many games has Cardenas played career against Boise State? 10, 8, 7? A lot of games. They've seen him, and they know what he can do. Not only that, but they've seen him when they scout other teams. Oh, put the Fresno game on. Oh, they're playing San Jose State. Coaches see these guys all the time with the tape they watch. And Cardenas will come to Boise next year, operate this offense the way they want it operated, and hopefully, BJ, at the end of the year, they're doing something they've never done before.
Bronco 130 says, please expound on the type of offense we run. I mean, the one thing I'll say is, again, Roddie Anderson, likes to push the tempo, get to the rim. Roddie Anderson's more of a quick, fast-paced guy. Boise State last year was 323rd in tempo, in average possession length. Boise State is not a team that's just going to run up and down the floor. They like to set up the offense, set up a Tim Duryea play, and kind of
down low, inside out.
Yes. They're not a team that's going to just try to hurry down the floor and beat you 2-on-1 every possession. And that's, again, that's what one of the things Roddie Anderson is good at, is beating you in transition, getting to the rim, getting a quick bucket before you can set up. And that's not really what Boise State's style of offense is. So once you get into a typical half-court offense, you need a point guard that is more of a distributor and maybe less of a guy that's looking to score first instead of pass first. Again, you guys had Max Rice in studio. I've heard from some people, Johnny, Max Rice maybe didn't have as many open threes this year, and maybe under the truth serum or something, Max would admit this. I don't know. But one of the reasons I heard Max Rice struggle to get open this year was he didn't have Marcus Shaver helping draw the defense in and get him some open looks. And so, again, I just think that Cardenas was great at getting to the rack, but again, that's not really what Boise State needs, is a point guard that just drives to the hoop. They need a guy that can drive and then kick it out to the corner and do some other things and run the offense and move guys around. And so I just think that it was, and I think I even said it on your show last week or the week before, Johnny, it was kind of like trying to put a square peg into a round hole at times with Roddie Anderson. And again, he does some things really nicely. I just think they would be better suited for another team that kind of plays his style, and Boise State doesn't. So they got to find another center, and they got some centers visiting. That's certainly something that they're going to try to do, is find a center. And then now they're going to have to probably address some sort of wing player, and whether that's a start.
Wing scorer, BJ.
Yes.
They need a guy who can go out, and on a good night, he's going to get them 20. He's going to get them 15. He's going to average double digits. They need to get a dude in here, and they know that. I'm sure they will find that. I'm curious to see where Roddie goes. It wouldn't shock me if we're going to see, whoa, that's an upgrade. Like Roddie ends up going to a bigger program. Maybe it's Utah State, like we're hearing with the dad and all that. I hope he stays within the league, because I love these matchups. I want to play players who are facing teammates. I think that whole dynamic will be cool. But I also want to see where Roddie ends up going on that, BJ. Maybe it's back to the Big West to drop 20 a night. That's probably the case. But he is so athletic, BJ.
Oh, he'll have some teams that are some higher level teams that are gonna maybe take a chance on him just because of the potential. And that's what Boise State did. They saw it at UC San Diego, saw what he could do. And again, people say, well, why did they recruit him then if they didn't think it was going to work? They thought it was going to work. But again, in college basketball, Johnny, nowadays, you don't have to wait 2 or 3 years. If you can tell in year one, it didn't work, it didn't fit, you cut your losses, you go find somebody better. And so people are asking about Andrew Meadow. Why didn't he, if he's so good, why didn't he play more last year? Again, his position is Chibuzo Abo and Tyson Degenhart. Are you taking Chibuzo Abo or Tyson Degenhart off the floor to let Andrew Meadow play 30 minutes a game last year? No, you're not.
We're talking about next year's Andrew Meadow too, dude.
Yes.
It's a year older, bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, everything. He's shooting 700 shots a day, 365 days a year. He's going to be significantly better. Andrew Meadow is significantly better today on April 24th than he was 2 months ago on February 24th. That's how this thing works. You're not putting in last year's Andrew Meadow that now has to start on this team. Dude, it's going to be the best version Andrew Meadow has ever been.
Yes.
And they like him. So, yes, he's going to be ready. He's got he's got 6 months or so before they even play a game. Damn it, BJ. Why do you?
By the way, Johnny, last year's version of Andrew Meadow, won them the St. Mary's game and won them the VCU game. Okay, go check the box scores. Andrew Meadow hit a couple of huge threes in the St. Mary's game, had a double-digit game, helped them beat VCU. If they don't win the St. Mary's game, they may not have even made the tournament last year, Johnny. Andrew Meadow still at times stepped up and hit some big shots for them last season. But again, he was playing behind 2 all Mountain West type players in Chibuzo Abo and Tyson Degenhart. I don't think
you explain it again, BJ.
I don't think people realize the potential of an Andrew Meadow. Like, he's got a chance to be an all Mountain West player and pretty quickly. Like, I watched him score 31 points in one of those Canadian games, and he looked incredible. So have some faith. Again, I know you don't want to hear it. Some fans are like, okay, here we go. They're just going to turn to the next guy. Like, yes, Chibuzo Abo is a big loss, but if it means Andrew Meadow gets to play 20 plus minutes now, like, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world. Is that a upgrade over Chibuzo Abo? No, of course not. But if Cardenius is an upgrade, if you can get another center, there's still ways for it to overall potentially be a net upgrade depending on who you add. Hey, I want to thank Cutwater Spirits. More than 35 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. We appreciate our studio sponsor, Cutwater Spirits. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. Concrete coatings, interior, exterior residential painting, all your painting needs. Highly recommend the folks at rowpaint.com. Check them out, ROE Paint. I'm not freaking out yet, but I may be at 8:15 tonight, depending on what Tyson Degenhart announces. 8 o'clock tonight. You're not going to want to miss this. Is Boise State losing the locker room? Is Leon lost the locker room? We will talk to Tyson Degenhart tonight at 8 p.m., and he will make what he tells me is an announcement regarding his future plans.
Yep, it's huge.
The future plans of Tyson Degenhart. And again, tomorrow is the early draft deadline. If you want to declare for the NBA draft, you have to do it by tomorrow. You can still pull your name out until June, but tomorrow, so guys like Omar Stanley, Tyson Degenhart might want to test the NBA draft waters, see what their pro potential is. We'll find out. Tyson Degenhart, I wouldn't think he's coming on tonight and saying he's transferring, Johnny, on his own show on BNN, but you never know. But we don't know what the plans are. Again, 8 o'clock tonight, Bronco Nation News, Tyson Degenhart, and there are supposed to be 2 special guests, Johnny. I do not even know who the special guests are. So 8 o'clock tonight, I really don't think you're going to want to miss this show if you're a Boise State basketball fan, because regardless of what his announcement is, you better believe we're going to be asking about the culture of the locker room and Leon and all the stuff that's going on right now. You're going to hear from one of the team captains from last year on all of this tonight at 8 o'clock on Bronco Nation News. Lithia Ford of Boise, we appreciate them as well. LithiaFordBoise.com. View their full inventory of vehicles. And again, you can make a purchase at Lithia Ford Boise right there on Fairview. And again, we thank Jim Sturk and company. They got 4 football players on NIL deals. And again, you can do what the Reigns family did. Purchase that F-150 at Lithia Ford of Boise. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Free shipping, any order over $40. Again, jerseys, caps. They got I know Johnny's favorite shirt, which he apparently got one of. Haven't seen you wear it yet, Johnny. The Ashton Genty Heisman t-shirt. They sell that at the Blue and Orange store. So you can go to the blueandorangestore.com, get your Ashton Genty Heisman shirt. And again, any order online, free shipping over $40. And of course, Taco Bell. They are hiring. They, would love to have folks come join their team. And again, free food while you work, and you get half your wages the very next day after your shift. So if you're looking for a job, highly recommend the Nicolason family, SON Management, Taco Bell family. It's a great, fun working environment. And again, you get free food, quick pay. And again, the SON Management Group, Nicolason family, donating, committing hundreds of $1,000s to the student athlete scholarships for the men's and women's basketball team. So we appreciate their support of BNN, and hopefully you'll consider Taco Bell for your next fast food meal and your next area if you're looking to apply for a job as well. Again, thank you to the SN Management Group and the Nicolason family. Okay, final couple minutes here, Johnny. Oh, there it is. What do we got? Whose jersey is that? Max Rice gave you a jersey?
Max Rice gave us a game-worn jersey yesterday for the appearance. This is what happens when Max Rice likes you, BJ. I don't know if you could.
I don't know. Yeah,
on that. I was going to ask Max too yesterday. I was going to say like, hey, what's up with you and BJ? But
we cooled it out, man. We're good now.
It's really cool. But yeah, Max, we're going to hang this in the studio forever. So pretty cool. Game worn, man. Game worn.
That's really cool.
Thought I'd show that off a little bit. We're going to put it somewhere and all that, but
hoping Tyson's big announcement today is good news for Boise State. Fingers crossed.
BJ, you need to get Tyson to give you one of these as the Tyson Dagenhart show and all that. Yeah.
Well, we are working to maybe upgrade the studio. So when we can do some of these shows, in person and have more of a studio, and we could have some stuff kind of like you guys have there with some of the jerseys and helmets and things in the background. I could see that.
Yeah,
you putting it on?
Totally do that. Yeah,
you putting it on here?
I can't help myself.
Oh my gosh, here. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, we've seen the. Let me see if we got something here real quick.
BJ, I better take this off in seconds. I think I'm going to Vandal hell, man. Like,
Hold on a second, Johnny. Johnny, just in honor of you, I think Coach Rice said something. Let's see here.
Airball game.
Airball game. Yeah.
Yeah, he calls me airball game. And that's
I was trying to find the clip of your airballed free throw, but I can't actually find it.
Kill that.
The white wall is great. Somebody's saying about the studio. Well, we're moving, so we had to take the wall down. We actually had a studio, but we're moving, so we had to remove it and take it all down. So we couldn't do that. But
BJ,
again,
your next studio, by the way, you're talking about all the things you want to do with BNN, and I'll come over and help you.
Yes,
but yeah, you got to get a really sweet setup. The BNN studio's got to be badass. You got to make
nice, comfy chairs and a little.
You want to go there and hang out, what do you
call one of those neon signs, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think like part of the reason we're getting big guests on IST, well, part of the reason is because the new coaching system and media policies. But the other part is other players on the team are like, oh man, he got to, Latrell Capel's got to sit in that studio and do that. I want to do that too. So all of a sudden, it's like we're having our pick of guys to come on. I mean, today we got Andrew Simpson. Like, it's like we're getting star player after star player.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
I got Latrell Capels today. I'm recording with him at 3 o'clock. So we'll see when we're going to play that. But, what else we got coming up? Idaho Sports Talk today.
Getting ready for the NFL draft, BJ. Andrew Simpson on the Boise State side, NFL draft today. Bob Beeler's going to talk about the NFL draft prospects out of the Mountain West, I believe, is on the schedule. No, that's tomorrow for Bob. I'm a day ahead. I'm not sure what old Beeler's doing today. Another guest we have, though, always fun. Not really a Boise State angle, though, but Luther Ellis, NFL Pro Bowl defensive lineman, has all those kids in the NFL, the Vandal connection. He's a coach at Utah. His son is, BJ, Jonah Ellis. Played high school football at Moscow High. He's going to get drafted probably Friday, if not on Saturday. So Luther Ellis is going to come on the show today and talk about what it's like to have your fourth child go through the NFL draft process. Just insane.
Yes or no? Does George Holani extend the streak?
Oh, the streak. I haven't even thought about the streak. You're right. That's something I would imagine Boise State fan wants to hold on to.
15 straight years Boise State has had a player drafted all the way back since 2009. I believe. Yeah. Does it extend? Does George Holani make it on day 3? Does he sneak in?
I didn't think Avery Williams would get drafted. He did. I wasn't certain Scott Matlock would get drafted. He did. Like, they've surprised me on some occasions. I'm going to say 7th round. George, here's his name. All the good karma flowing his way. You know, he had some ups and downs in his career, the injuries. I'll give him a 7th round nod. Sure. But there's going to have to be like 20-ish running backs taken.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be extended next year, so they're going to have one drafted next year at least. They just got to get Genty here and Holani here, and you're basically adding 2 years to the streak. So, Johnny, appreciate you. Fun debate on the Cardenas Anderson and just Anderson transferring. And again, my final word on it would be it's April 24th, and they have 4 scholarships left. So let's just before we make big sweeping opinions and pictures on the roster and the team, let's wait and see what the actual roster looks like. And if it's not much improved by then, I'll come out and say that. But I think they're going to add some players, and I think they're going to be in a pretty good spot come time for the season. And I think that, given the 4 players that left, there's really one that's going to be a big loss for him at this point. And we'll see what else happens. But again, maybe there's going to be more. I don't know. We haven't really heard from Omar Stanley on what he's going to do. I know schools are hitting him up in the portal. Tyson Degenhardt as well.
If they lose Omar, I'm okay if Boise State fan just throws his hands in the air and says, I'm done. I can't do this anymore, college athletics. I can't. Omar needs to stay, man. I'll tell you, this is Tyson's team anyway. It's just with Buzo leaving, like this is going to be, it's Team Tyson for me. This is Tyson Degenhardt's team, and I'm okay with that. I can't wait for that Tyson Degenhardt show tonight, though, BJ. That's going to be a hit. I will definitely be watching that. I'll have that on.
All I will say is one of the 2 special guests, Johnny, I have not been told who it is, but it may be someone else we've talked about or somebody else that might have an announcement to make too. So it may be a big show tonight for Boise State fans, one way or the other. 8 o'clock tonight, Tyson Degenhardt Show, Bronco Nation News. Check it out. But first, you got 3 to 6, Idaho Sports Talk with Johnny and Prater and the gang. You can listen to that. And then 8 o'clock, we will talk to you tonight on the Tyson Degenhardt Show. Have a great rest of your day. If any other news breaks, we'll bring it to you. Go read my story at BroncoNationNews.com. Be ready to listen at 3 o'clock to Johnny and Prater. And we'll see you tonight, 8 o'clock. Tyson Degenhardt, big announcement coming on his future. We'll talk to you then. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.